I figure while I work, I'll go ahead and record kind of my thoughts on a few things. Okay. So, on the subject of PTSD in horses, I feel like it is a title, a diagnosis that's being very much just thrown around to help people feel better about the stress their horse endures and having a label to attach to it. Now, here's the thing, is there is a difference between a PTSD horse and a horse who is just pissed off. Okay, so I'm going to give you a few stories. Okay, I'm working with a bunch of horses that are just pissed off. And they have all pretty much the same displays of anger. And one of them is swishing their tail. Whenever they're feeling overwhelmed by something that you're doing, they'll swish their tail, or even preemptively swish their tail to let you know that what you're thinking about doing to them is going to make them mad. Shaking their head, that's another good one. They can shake their head up and down. They can shake their head side to side, like they've got something in their ear, or like they're trying to avoid or fight with, a bit in their mouth. They paw. They try to evade, obviously. But there's some pretty, ears pinned back, that kind of thing. There's some pretty obvious pissed off signs. Now, PTSD is, at least, so I'm not a horse psychologist by any means, but I certainly do study their behavior, and I certainly do pay attention to what they tell me. And I'm not a horse communicator, animal communicator, but I certainly believe that I have a pretty good connection with horses to where I know what they're trying to tell us. So, a PTSD horse is a horse that's had trauma, that's experienced some kind of drama, and doesn't know how to sustain their own emotional bearings about whatever that trauma was. So, as things are presented to them in their lives, they can find themselves back in a place of overwhelmment, back in a place of fear, back in a place of helplessness. And when they get there, as they did it during the original trauma, during the original even extended drama, they have found a way to kind of escape the experience. And what they've learned to do is go to what I call a happy place. And a happy place is much, much more calm than the display of anger. Much, much more absent in their presence. Even though they're physically still there, mentally you can tell that they've gone somewhere else. That is their happy place. So I have two horses that I would, without question, consider PTSD, because both horses go into a catatonic state, and both horses have an extreme coming out of that state if pushed while in that state. So, and the cool thing is that I have two examples, and each example is of one or the other survival mechanisms that horses have. And if you're familiar with horses, you know that horses have fight or flight survival instincts. So, I have one. His name is Tyson. Now, Tyson came to me as a package deal with a filly that I had purchased 10 years ago, and maybe 11 years ago. And Tyson was a horse that the lady didn't give me a whole lot on his story, other than she played on my ego a little bit and said he was a perfect horse for my kind of program because they were having too hard of a time starting him, and that he had fear issues and every day was a new day and that kind of thing. So they never made progress in a forward way of training him. The story goes that he came from a breeder, and a previous client had purchased Tyson's full brother, some years before, maybe 2-3 years before. And when Tyson was born, they had loved that brother so much that they wanted Tyson. And the breeder claims that she told them way back then Tyson was different. That Tyson, there was something different about him. Which leads me to believe what we did discover about him goes back all the way from when he was at least a weanling, if not from birth. Okay, so just so you know, this is our timeline with him. So, despite what the said, the gentleman still purchased Tyson and took him home with him on the thing. This is me making an assumption based on the type of activities that these horses usually are involved in. I'm going to guess that Tyson got to be kind of a young horse in an environment, hopefully a learning environment, until he was about 18 months old. And then I'm going to guess that somebody attempted to start him in his 18-month period. So, what do you call it? Let's just say once they tried to start him, Tyson was not able to endure the training, whether it was he was fit or perhaps injured. So they attempted to start him. They attempted to, get on him and ride him, and Tyson just, I guess he was really, really not having it and was not taking to the training in any way, is how it's left. So they sent him out, realizing that maybe he was above their skill sets, and they sent him out to a trainer. And that trainer also struggled to get anywhere with Tyson. So that trainer, I guess declared him untrainable, whatever. And Tyson was returned to the breeder, either traded in for another horse or just, returned for whatever reason. So when I met Katie, this is when the breeder, when Tyson was returned to the breeder, set out to continue to attempt to start this horse. So she actually had a trainer with him. I think she sent him out. I did meet the trainer, so I don't know if the trainer came to them or if he was sent to her barn. But anyway, so unsuccessful in starting him by this second or third training attempt. So when I met him, I was kind of told, we have this horse, he's perfect for your program, and we've had problems trying to start him. We're not really sure, what's wrong, whatever. So, of course, me, and allowed my ego to get in my way, and said, sure, I'll take him. So he was thrown in as a package deal with my Katie. And I met the day, was it the day I picked him up? Maybe. No, I didn't pick him up. One of my visits, I guess, or maybe even that visit, I met the trainer that he had been sent to since he had been returned to the breeder. And she said, you know, it was like 51st dates. Like, he just, every day was a new day. He never remembered anything that was taught to him the day before. He never progressed. He just, she just referred to him as every day was a new day. And, and wished me luck. So, of course, still all full of my own ego, I was all cocky and, of course was like, yeah, thank you for your well wishes, but, I'm going to. So, I get Tyson home, and he's scared to death of everything. So he's scared of his own shadow. He's scared of any movement. He's scared of everything. Of course, that's when it clicks to me that was the horse out in the field with a bunch of mares, him being a gelding, with a bunch of mares with a halter on, the only horse with a halter on, and classic too small of a halter because they're not even going to try to catch him to change his halter to one that fits him better now. Okay, so he's home, he's scared to death, every movement in the barn scares him, he snorts in fear of everything that you do, every movement that you make. You walk into the barn, he snorts. He literally would throw himself against the wall in absolute fear. Okay. So I knew I had my work cut out for me in just trying to find a way to desensitize this horse to kind of the world around him. And I spent a lot of time and in preparation to start him. I also had, routine dental work done on him. And when he was sedated for his dental work, it was the first time I had seen this horse relax. And to the point to where I even joked with the vet that I might call him once a month to come over and sedate this horse so this poor thing can just relax. So he could just calm down. Because he was so, literally the young lady who helped out around my barn, she dubbed him Snorkel because of how often he would snort and carry on when somebody would move around in the barn. 6 months went into his training. 6 months went into his trust training, I should say. No, I didn't do anything with him that, about trying to climb on him. I just did, please learn to trust me kind of training for 6 months. I did believe 100% after 6 months this horse trusted me. Now, the one thing I did notice is that he did not allow me to know if something felt good. So, like if I scratched him, he didn't let me know that I got a good spot. He didn't give me any indication that he liked anything. During his rehabilitation, emotional rehabilitation, I noticed that when he would get really, really, really seemingly backed into a corner, in as far as emotionally being able to handle something that was being done or he was being exposed to, his head would tremor. Like, I hate to use a disease to help depict a picture, but the only way you can really probably get it without much more description is kind of like a Parkinson's tremor, where his head would kind of shimmer from side to side, and he would just stand there, and his head would just tremor from side to side. And then he would paw, and not paw like, I'm bored how you see horses paw on the cross ties. He would paw frantically, like, please, 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 mercy, 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 mercy. And that's actually when I determined that that's exactly what that means, mercy. It means mercy when they do it like that. When they just paw out of boredom, that's just, maybe it means mercy, but, like, have mercy on me, I'm bored. But I don't think it means mercy the way it meant mercy for him. So, and he would swish his tail. His tail, but it would be more like if you said something to him, meaning, if something that you were doing communicated to him, anything that was a little overwhelming, his tail would swish and say, that's a lot. So when his tail would swish, I knew that, we were getting to a point of, oh my God, oh my God. So his tail would swish to kind of say, that was a lot. And then he would paw and he'd say, really, I'm having a hard time with this. And if I continued on anyway, that's when the head would shake. And then after his head would shake, he would start to lower his head into kind of like a sinking down, kind of falling asleep kind of posture. And then in a short period of time, he would appear to have done just that, fallen asleep. He may still have kind of, while he's in that state, kind of tremoring, just occasional, like, kind of twitch. Not like he had just fallen asleep twitch, but, still kind of that tremor twitch. And I took a lot of observation of this stuff, so I'm watching, and and then he would just go calm. He would just go calm and just stand there. But he was completely absent. He wouldn't move anymore. He wouldn't have any other reactions. He wouldn't respond to any stimulation. He just went to sleep. Okay. So when he would do that, I didn't know in the beginning to not continue to try to get his attention, not to continue with whatever I was doing. So I would push him while he was in that state. And, just to be like, hey, I'm talking to you. Hey, I'm talking to you. And then, of course, he'd be missing. He'd be gone. So when he did come back, this is where his survival instincts or his, not knowing how to handle this anymore kind of instinct would kick in, and he would come out doing whatever it took to get away from you. So his survival was dependent on, can I get away, flight. And I learned about flight line with horses, with this horse. His flight line is about 19. And the reason I know it's 19, he would hit the end of a 12-foot line. He wasn't done trying to get away. And he would rip that line right out of my hand. I had so many rope burns from this horse, it wasn't even funny. But once I changed to a 22-foot line, it stopped. He would be able to get about 19 feet away, and then he would spin around, snort at me, swish his tail, and have a kind of a shimmer of his head, but he would stay alert. A flight line, if you don't know what a flight line is kind of like when you watch a deer who just ran across the road, or who you just, came up on your hiking trail, who will run, say, 15 feet, and then stop, turn, and look to see what you are. That's their flight line. That's how far away their instinct tells them they have to get before they can even look back. Okay, so Tyson's flight line was about 19 feet. Let's see. So once I believed that I had done all the good work of getting him past needing to go catatonic, getting him past needing to go into this happy place, I attempted to actually start him, get on him. Now, they had already done all the saddle work, and he was pretty past that. So that was good, because I didn't have to spend a lot of time trying to explain to him what the saddle was in his current state of mind, because his current state of mind was, I'm scared of the world. So it would have been a nice challenge to figure out how to convince him that it's okay that I'm trying to put a saddle on him, trying to put a dead cow on his back, right? So I was able to get through the saddling stuff pretty quickly. Then came the day that I decided I'm going to get on him. And I'd done all the work, I'd done all the jumping up beside him, I've done all the stepping up in the stirrup, I'd done all that, so now is the day. I'm going to put my foot in the stirrup, I'm going to step up on this horse, and I'm going to swing my leg over, and I'm going to sit on him. So I remember exactly where I was in the arena. I remember, it was very early in the morning. I remember it very, very well. So I got him out there. We, went to do all our exercises. We were through it. It's time to get on him. I stepped up in the stirrup, swung my leg up over him. We stood there. And then I said, okay, that was a successful first ride. Got back off of him and, had concluded that tomorrow is the big day. We're going to start riding this horse tomorrow. So, untacked him and just made it all about that was all I was going to do today. What I didn't realize was that the reason he could handle that was because he had learned to go into that happy place, probably during the saddling process, okay? Though, truthfully, he was probably not with us even, once he was saddled up. So once I got on him, it's gone, so he was not enduring it, at least mentally or emotionally, and attempting to escape it physically. So the next day, I took him in. I decided I'm going to get on him. I'm going to ride him, and I was very, very successful the day before riding, getting on him, so I was not worried about getting on him. I thought, we're good. So I went to get on him. Everything went fine. I got on him. Well, as soon as I asked him to move his feet, that forced him to come out of his catatonic state that I didn't realize he had gone into. And when he came out of that catatonic state, he came out of that absolutely in whatever it takes, I have to get away from this scary human. Whatever it takes, my life depends on it. That was the energy that was in the room. My life depends on getting this human away from me, or getting away from this human. So, what did he do? He bucked me off worse than I've ever been bucked off in my life. I did not get hurt, but the power and the energy and the fear and the energy was so absolutely remarkable. Like, we are talking such energy that is I remember it like it was yesterday, but instead of remembering it like it was yesterday, I can honestly tell you I've never experienced it again. I've never had a horse so sure that they needed you off of them, or it's going, or because you're going to kill them. Like, it was amazing. Never had a horse buck me off like that. And it's, like I said, I didn't get hurt. I remember actually I describe it as having been thrown up in the rafters. I remember how high he threw me up. I remember